Greetings folks, and welcome to another 8/16/32-bit. I'm Rob, and as you'll have seen from the thumbnail today, I'm going to give you what I consider to be the essential set of games that you need if you're starting off a collection for the Sega Mega Drive or Genesis for our American cousins. Now, as with any kind of list of this type, what we're discussing here is entirely subjective. This is my opinion on what I think are the games that you need to start a Sega Mega Drive collection off. Feel free to disagree with them, feel free to agree. Let me know in the comments down below whether you do or don't disagree with me. It's all good, but keep it civil folks. We're a friendly, polite bunch round here. Now, I am going to pick games from different genres here. Some of them may be quite obvious, some of them may surprise you. But as I said, this is my list, it's entirely subjective, and I'm not doing these in any order of preference or how good they are. I'm just going to go through some different genres and some different games. So, without further ado, let's get looking at those games that I think are essential starter games for your Sega Mega Drive collection. So, first up, we have a platform game, and the obvious place to start is with one of the Sonic titles. Now, there are those that would argue that Sonic the Hedgehog, the original game, is the more iconic title, or that Sonic 3 and Sonic & Knuckles is the sort of ultimate 16-bit cartridge-based Sonic adventure. But for me, I would say if you're going to have just the one Sonic game to start your collection off with, get Sonic 2. For me, it's the best of the Sonic series on the Mega Drive. It looks absolutely superb, it sounds brilliant, it plays wonderfully, and the challenge is pitched just right. Now, I'm a terrible platform gamer, as I have admitted in the past, but even I get a fair amount of fun and enjoyment from Sonic 2. There's just something about it. Speedrunning the opening level, exploring some of the later maps, it's all great fun, and to be fair, you'll struggle to find anything that betters it for its immediate grab you by the scruff of the neck and make you want to play gameplay. It is the platform game that I recommend to everybody as their first platform game for the system. So yeah, Sonic 2, highly rated, and you really will not regret it. So the next genre I'm going to look at here is the scrolling beat 'em up. Now, to me, this is a game of a style that peaked on the 16-bit systems, and this is the essential scrolling beat 'em up, not just for the Mega Drive, I hasten to add, but for any 16-bit system as far as I'm concerned, and it's Streets of Rage 2. This game took everything that made the original Streets of Rage so good and just amped it all the way up to 11. The graphics were bigger and bolder and better animated. The soundtrack by Yuzo Koshiro was absolutely out of this world. I said it before and I'll say it again. I'm a heavy metal guy. I don't do dance music. But the one video game soundtrack that I can listen to again and again and again is Streets of Rage 2. It is superb. Everything about it works. The characters, the level designs, the music, it all comes together beautifully, and it plays like a dream. Anybody can play this game. You don't have to be a wonderfully skilled gamer. I'm not. I've mentioned it before. I'm terrible at platform games. I have dyspraxia, which means I have hand-eye coordination issues, yet even I can manage to blast my way through Streets of Rage 2. It's just so much fun. I defy anybody to say that this game is not worth having in your collection. And if you're new to the Mega Drive world and you're starting your collection, this should sit alongside Sonic 2 as one of those first games that you purchase. Now, next up is the one-on-one fighting genre, and whilst there are many choices for this type of game on the Mega Drive, I've actually gone with Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition. Now, I know there are people out there who will say, oh, but the Super Nintendo version is far superior, and in some ways it is, but whilst it may have a slight edge in terms of its graphics and its sound, SCE on the Mega Drive actually plays faster. You can change the speed. It's based on the Hyper Fighting variant of the Street Fighter 2 arcade machine. And to be fair, it looks pretty darn good. It's also great if you've got hold of one of the Mega Drive 6 button joypads, which really does allow you to play the game as it was intended, because the button layout, unlike on the Super Nintendo pad, matches the arcade perfectly. Now, this is a very good looking game, and it does have some quite strong competition on the Mega Drive if you want one-on-one fighting games. Certainly, again, whilst graphically not as impressive, the Mega Drive versions of Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat 2 are certainly excellent games. Plus, there's also a number of SNK Neo Geo conversions of varying quality, and Sega's own attempt at Street Fighter 2 Eternal Champions. But this is the game that you really want. It's a great showcase for the Mega Drive and how it could do arcade conversions beautifully well. So yeah, it's also quite easy to get hold of. So this, I would say, is part of that essential selection of games that you need for your Mega Drive starter pack. Now, next up is a sports game, and sports games were key to the Mega Drive and Genesis's initial success, and the one I've selected here is Madden 92. Now, you can pick pretty much any of the Madden games on the Mega Drive, they're all brilliant, but Madden 92 is my pick simply because it was the first Madden game that I got for my Mega Drive when I got my Mega Drive. And to this day, it remains an excellent rendition of the sport of American football, or gridiron, or just football if you're in the US. There are a huge number of tactical options. You have a vast playbook on both offense and defense. The game's graphics look pretty darn good. The sound's pretty good. The presentation is superb. It's a peak sports game for the Mega Drive, and crucially, again, it's an easy and cheap game to get hold of. Plus, it's something you can play multiplayer. I spent time playing this with my dad when I got it, and it was the only video game he could ever beat me at. But yeah, it's Madden. It's a core franchise for the Mega Drive, and it's one of those games that you really can't go wrong with if you add it to your collection. As a sidebar, if you don't like American football and you'd rather play proper football or soccer, then you could get one of the FIFA games. They're probably the best football games for the Mega Drive, unless you do enjoy that whole Sensi soccer, super high speed, pinball-y type style of play, which doesn't really appeal to me. But anyway, Madden 92, Madden 93, Madden 94, Madden 95, whichever one of the Maddens, they're all cheap and easy to get, and they'll all give you some great fun and many hours of good gameplay. Now, RPGs became a big thing during the 16-bit era, and on Sega's platform, the most enduring series of RPGs, and the one that I think is absolutely essential for all Mega Drive owners, is the Phantasy Star series, and my personal pick is Phantasy Star 2, the first of the Phantasy Star games to arrive on the Mega Drive. Now, certainly the Phantasy Star games don't look as good, or certainly this one doesn't look as good as, say, the Final Fantasy games on the Super Nintendo, but it is still an excellent game to play. Everything about Phantasy Star 2 is superb. The music, the graphics, especially when it's a fairly early game. This was released originally in 1989, so it's one of that real first wave of games for the system. It has some lovely cutscenes. The in-game graphics are nice. They're distinct. They are recognisably Phantasy Star. You can see the heritage if you've ever played the Master System version. And the game plays really well. It's basically an updated version of the system used in the original Phantasy Star. Unlike many 16-bit RPGs, you have a character party, you have an overworld that you walk around in this kind of top-down perspective, and you have combat scenes which move into a turn-based system, although with the Phantasy Star games, unlike the Final Fantasy's side-on battlefields, here on the Mega Drive you get sort of a a pseudo 3D effect where you have your characters at the fore of the screen and laid further back into the screen are the enemies. Now, this game has an epic sort of interplanetary story. It has an incredible sense of scale and depth. You know, it's one of those games where you want to keep coming back. Yes, like a lot of 16-bit RPGs, it does have a lot of grind in it. So if you're not interested in the grind, I would suggest don't play this game. You know, there are other RPG options available. You could go down more the action RPG route with something like Landstalker. And unlike a lot of the other games in this Essentials pack, unfortunately the Phantasy Star games, as with many other RPGs for the Mega Drive, does tend to be a little bit on the pricey side. But this is one of those games, it's iconic for the system, it plays brilliantly, and you absolutely will not regret buying it. Now, this choice is in the puzzle genre, and it's quite possibly the easiest game to get hold of on this entire list. It's Columns. This was released as a standalone game and also on a huge number of compilation cartridges that came packed in with various Mega Drive variants. Now, Columns is quite a simple game. You're literally just matching 3 colours of the same jewels, but that simplicity also belies a complicated core. Ensuring you get the matches right to stop the screen filling up is a challenge. And, you know, this is one of those games where you can literally spend hours playing it. And as I said, as a game for the system, it's easy to get hold of, it's cheap, and you can lose hours to it. It's that darn good. It is comfortably one of the best puzzle games of all time, and you could argue in many ways it was the Sega answer to Nintendo having Tetris as somewhat of an exclusive on their systems. There is a whole story about that, but I'm not going to get into that here. Suffice it to say, there was a Mega Drive version of Tetris, but yeah, it's complex. But this is one of those games, you will find it everywhere if you go looking and you're looking to start a Mega Drive collection. Columns is the puzzle game to get hold of, in my opinion. You really can't go wrong with it. Now, the final genre I've picked here is racing games, and there are a huge number of different types of racing games available on the Mega Drive. You've got your more traditional arcadey races like Outrun, Super Monaco GP. You've got some slightly more in-depth games like Dolmark's Formula 1. But the one I've picked for pure enjoyment factor, and again, this is an easy to get hold of, cheap game, Road Rash 2. It's a racing game, but it also has combat elements, but you don't need to engage in those. You can play it as a pure racing game and avoid the combat if you wish. Now, there are 3 Road Rash games for the Mega Drive. This is the middle one of the trilogy, and it is by far the best one. It plays really well, it looks good, it moves beautifully, it sounds great. It's just a darn good, fun game. And as I said, it's not overly expensive. Yes, it's not the cheapest game out there for the Mega Drive, but equally so, it's not going to break the bank for you to get hold of a copy of it. And as I said, it plays great. It's just a fun game to play. You really do get a feeling of sort of charging down winding roads in the sort of US countryside on a motorcycle with other guys, and it is great fun. It really is. You know, you will not have trouble if you get this game. It's brilliant, it fulfills that racing itch, and what more could you ask for? So there you have it, folks. Those are the games that I think make up the essential Sega Mega Drive starter pack. Now, feel free to disagree with me if you wish. As I said earlier, let me know down in the comments below. If you think there's a game that should be replaced in there, then tell me what game you'd replace it with and why. You know, this is one of those things, it's entirely subjective, although, as I said, I don't think if you're getting into collecting for the Sega Mega Drive that you could go wrong with this selection of games. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, please do hit the like button. If you've really enjoyed it and you want more of my content, hit the subscribe button. If you want to know when a new video is coming out, ring the bell. You can find me on various social media platforms. You'll see the locations for those in a moment. And yeah, this is me, Rob. This is 81632-bit, and I'm saying so long until the next video.